High school preview show presented by Gold Athletics. I'm your host, John Sarianides. And as always, I'm joined by my partners, Tyler Amaral and Mukala Kabongo. Mukala tonight is coming from the car, so it'll be like we're doing a radio show. Gentlemen, how are you this evening?
Doing great.
I'm good. I'm leaving Worcester. I was at a basketball game. It was their home opener at the new facility, the Blackbourne Court. Beautiful facility, so that's why I'm in the car right now.
There you go. Mukala's he's on to the winter season. He's ready. He wants those heated gyms. You know, he's sick and tired of being cold on these football fields. He's ready for the heated gyms of basketball. But, gentlemen, as always, I want to say thank you for taking the time. And before we get started here, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight with state semifinal weekend here in Massachusetts, as well as several championship games throughout New England. Before we start the conversation, I do want to remind you that we are brought to you by Gold Athletics. Winter coaches, your season is upon us. If you need that last-minute fundraiser, Matt Ross and his team can help you out. Visit goldathletics.com today, where you will find a variety of fundraisers that you can cater to your program, your community, and your school. Matt Ross and his team have the experience and the know-how to help you raise money. Spring coaches, your season will be here before you know it. Don't sit back and wait. You need to jump on this fundraising train and find a fundraiser that works for you as well. Visit goldathletics.com today for more information and let Matt Ross and his team help you make the money. All right, gentlemen, big weekend, of course, in Massachusetts, and we're going to start there like we always do. State semifinal weekend is upon us. One of the best high school football weekends of the season. Some fantastic matchups on tap. As usual, we got two big ones starting right off the top in Division I. Friday night, big one up at Burlington High School, St. John's Prep, Central Catholic. These two teams are very familiar with each other. They play each other during the regular season. I think this is going to be a fantastic matchup. This Central Catholic team has come of age this season, that their schedule clearly paid dividends for them in the playoffs. They're battle-tested. They won a close one last week against Natick. Tyler, I'm going to start with you. This should be a really good game. St. John's Prep, of course, was without quarterback Christopher Vargas last week. Became the Maxwell Parent Show. Is it going to be the Maxwell Parent Show again this weekend, or do you think there's a chance we see Vargas? And how do you see this game playing out?
Well, I think that's the thing about St. John's Prep, right? Like Christopher Vargas, the first five-star quarterback in state history. So they've relied on him and Riley Silve at receiver for most of the year. But they also have that dynamic duo in the backfield. They have a really strong offensive line. It's inexperienced, but it's a very good line, one of the best in the state yet again. And they have Maxwell Parent and Jordan Toribio. So they have those guys in the backfield. So one of them is always fresh, able to alternate backs, and it's a real advantage for them. I think they're probably going to play it pretty close to the vest here with Vargas on whether he plays or not. It seems to be what their approach was last week. Nobody really knew until he showed up to the game whether Chris Vargas is going to be playing or not. So we'll see if he's going to be out there again or out there this weekend. But St. John's Prep, their defense is good, despite what Osiris Lopez did to them last week. It's a very good defense, and they're able to run the ball well. They're built for November. They're built for these kinds of games. So I think they're going to be able to win this one with or without Vargas because they have that stable of backs and, again, the strong defense. At Central Catholic, they've come a long way since the first meeting. I expect it to be closer. Again, whether Vargas plays or not, I think this game is going to be closer than it was the first time around. I think that Central Catholic team is much better than they showed the first time around. But ultimately, in my eyes, St. John's Prep, they have the best resume in the state. They've been the best team in the state from the beginning, and they advanced to Gillette once again under Coach St. Pierre.
Yeah, this St. John's Prep team, this team is just really battle tested. I mean, can you guys think of a team that's faced the amount of high quality quarterbacks that this team has faced this year? I mean, they faced at least five of them, and they're potentially going to face a couple more. A couple of them, they're facing Smith again. He's a really good quarterback, and they could potentially face Jared Stain for another time. And they got Will Wood on Thanksgiving, so battle tested team. Their defense, despite that score, played very well in that game. It was just Osiris Lopez was just doing stuff that even Coach St. Pierre was just like, you got to tip his hat off. They had good coverage. Majority of the times, it was just when Lopez broke out on the run, he would just use his feet. So their run defense was really good. They stuffed the run for Lemonster. Their running backs really didn't do much. It was the legs of Osiris Lopez. And this is definitely going to be another Maxwell Parent performance. Jordan Toribio too. But I think they're going to be playing Vargas close to the vest. I mean, probably a game-time decision. But you got to look at their second half defenses in some of these games against Catholic Memorial, against Springfield Central. Even last week, they only let up 12 points in the second half last week. So I just can't. It's hard for me to pick against Coach St. Pierre in big games. It's really hard for me to pick against him.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he's proven in recent years, certainly, he's one of the top coaches in the state. He has proven that he can coach and win in big games. And I think that they certainly have the pedigree and the experience, despite being young along the offensive line and being young at some of the skill positions. This St. John's prep team has certainly proven that they have the experience necessary to make a title run, but so does Central Catholic. This team has come a long way. A lot of these guys played last year. They're key cogs in this run now, and a lot of these guys are back next year. So the Red Raiders aren't going anywhere. They're going to be a factor in Division I next year as well. On the other side of the Division I bracket, of course, you have what has become one of the best rivalries in New England, and that, of course, is Springfield Central and Xaverian. They're going to be playing on Saturday in Milford. This should be a fantastic matchup, another matchup where these two teams played earlier this season. Tyler, I'm going to start with you. Look, Springfield Central, I think a lot of people, beginning of the year, they come out here, they play their usual 3 or 4 tough games to start the season. Then they go back out to Western Mass. They do their thing, and I think a lot of people forget about them. But this team is as good as any in this Final Four group, and they are certainly more than good enough to make a run here and win a state title. Xaverian and them they've gone back and forth. They've had their battles. Xaverian knocked them out of the playoffs last year. Is this a game where Xaverian's healthy now and going into the season, number 1 team in the state, they were the favorite to potentially make it 3 in a row here? With Shivigato back, does Xaverian now have the edge in Division I, or can Springfield Central derail that dream of a three-peat and make their own mark on these playoffs?
Well, I think this is going to be a terrific game. I think it's the game of the weekend across all 8 divisions. And again, one of the better games we're going to see in New England this year. It was a good game the first time around, 28-20. Springfield Central went on the road and won that game. Both teams have dealt with injuries throughout the season. Springfield Central is also fully healthy. They didn't have Isaiah Rogers for stretches, including that first-round win over Taunton. So he's back. He made a difference last week against Lowell. They got off to a pretty slow start against Lowell. They were trailing early in that game, and then they turned it on. And when they flipped the switch, not many teams in the state can hang with them. And listen, it's a very good defense with Valdemar Brower back leading the defensive side. Very good defense, and we know what Coach Bill Watson can do with the offense. Guys like Jarrett Stain and Isaiah Rogers, but they also Cody Massey's emerged as a nice piece for them as a receiver this year. It's an inexperienced receiving corps, so they needed somebody to emerge. And you could tell from the summer, I saw them scrimmage against Barnstable, and Cody Massey was making plays, and I think he's just getting more comfortable as the season progresses. So Springfield Central, just a ton of talent on that team and a ton of talent on the Xaverian side as well. But I think Xaverian is going to avenge that early season loss. I think Xaverian could be considered the favorite in Division I now with Shivigato back. Seems like he didn't really miss a beat, came back and scored a couple touchdowns. So you have a Division I Power 4 quarterback like Will Wood throwing to Christian McIntyre, who's probably had the best season of any receiver in the state this year. And now you add in who I think Dave Shivigato is the most impactful player in high school football in Massachusetts. He's a terrific player. He seems to always be around the ball, especially when the game's on the line. He's just such a difference maker. And because of that, I think Xaverian wins this game. It's going to be one hell of a game, though. It's going to be close. I think one score in either direction, but I like Xaverian.
Yeah, every time these two teams get together, it always turns out to be a one-score game. I remember that the last time they played in the playoffs, it was a 21-20 game was the final score, I believe. Xaverian got a goal line stand late in that game to win that one. And even this earlier this season, their matchup, it was a one-score game. Both teams have firepower on offense. Both teams have great defensive players. So it's gonna come down to who can make the key defensive play in the second half. because we know both teams are going to get their points and they're going to put up some numbers. But yeah, you're right, Tyler. Chivigado coming back, that takes a whole lot of relief off of Christian McIntyre. He's not going to see the double teams that he probably was seeing, even though he was still producing. This is going to open up their offense a lot more. This is going to be a real chess match between these two head coaches, both really good head coaches, and the quarterback matchup is as good as it gets in the state. But man, I think Springfield Central might have a little sour taste in their mouth from the last time they played in the postseason against the Zavarian. They were so close, but Zavarian was able to beat them. I think they're gonna win this one, but I think it's also gonna be another one-score game in this one. Probably the same game, the same score as last time. This time, 27-21 final score.
All right, now we're going to turn our attention to Division II, where I think you have another two matchups here, gentlemen, that are just as intriguing as those D1 matchups. We're going to start off with Winchester and Catholic Memorial. These two teams are going to play over at Manning Field this weekend. This should be a great matchup here, and I think a lot of people look. CM is CM. They've been the standard not only in Division II but in the state the last few years. But this Winchester team, and we've said this all along, and Tyler, I know you have specifically said this all season long, they are probably the biggest challenger in Division II to Catholic Memorial, and they are ranked while they're playing in the state semifinals. Could this Winchester team with Gianni DiPremio and that skill group, they're averaging over 40 points a game, could this skill group potentially have enough juice to go up against a CM team that clearly isn't as good as they were last year, but still very good, still a top 5 team in the state, still the prohibitive favorite in Division II? Can this Winchester team pull off the upset and beat Catholic Memorial this weekend?
We've seen it in this round before. A couple of years ago, Marshfield took their high-powered offense into a game against CM and upset them. CM just wasn't able to get stops. I think we've seen throughout the year that CM has struggled against some of the better opponents to keep them off the field and keep them out of the end zone, more importantly. So I think Winchester is going to be able to get there. It's a very good offense. They haven't been held below 35 points at any point this year. Now, the thing is, I think they're a very good team. They haven't really been tested at all this year, and they didn't play the most challenging schedule. They're the number 4 seed with a perfect team rating because the opponent, their strength schedule wasn't the greatest. So, but listen, they're a very good team. DiPremio and Jack Fabiano probably have had the best seasons of any running backs in the state this year. Ronan O'Connell at quarterback, I think he kind of flies under the radar because of what DiPremio does. And then I think, we talk a lot about the skill guys, but let's talk about the linebackers. So arguably the 2 best linebackers in the state with Brian Harrison and Liam Conlon. So this is going to be a fun game, a lot of skill on the field in this one. But ultimately, I think CM just has too much. I think they're more well-rounded. I think they will be able to get the stop when Winchester might not be able to. Expect a lot of points in this one, but again, the Knights are just going to pull this one off. They all have all that big game experience, even though they're younger and less experienced than they have been in years past. They still have all that experience, and they're still just the most talented team in the bracket. So because of that, I like the Knights, but if Winchester hangs for a half or longer, don't be surprised at all.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be challenge for Winchester, but like you said, if they want to find a way to beat Zavarian, they might try to take that blueprint that Marshfield had a couple years back. They can't put up points. The fact is, the question will be, can they get the stops that they needed? For Catholic Memorial, they have probably some of the best one-on-one quarterback defensive backs in the state, and their ability to just play man-to-man for a whole game is going to be key, especially with how Winchester likes those explosive plays. We'll see if they can try to get those, if they could try to win the one-on-ones and try to find a way to get those explosive plays on this one-on-one defense. But Catholic Memorial they're just a tough team to play against. They got playmakers all over the place. They can score anywhere. So yeah, I got the Knights.
All right, and this game, of course, will be played on Friday night. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff over at Hormel Stadium in Medford. On the other side of the bracket, you have another Friday night matchup, another 6 p.m. kickoff featuring Bishop Fee, Bridgewater Raynham. Bishop Fee had a terrific season, terrific regular season for Brian Pinnabell's squad Only lost once, and that was to Zavarian week 1. Ran the table from that point on. Been dominant at times this season. Owen Mortis at quarterback, Kane Mankins anchoring both lines. You also have a couple of really good skill guys in this game for Fian as well. For Bridgewater Raynham, of course, they feature Jack Lambert at quarterback. Ian Bain, in only year 2, has got this program back on track, playing at a high level, and now they're a state title contender in Division II. Of course, Bridgewater has a long history of success under former coach Dan Buron. He won a couple of state titles during his time. I'd say more than a couple. But the program hit a little bit of a rough patch after he retired. Now Ian Bain has this program back on track, and they look like they're here to stay for a while in Division II, and possibly, if they end up moving up, potentially in Division I as well. But for now, they're in Division II. I think this is a fascinating matchup. Stylistically, you've got Fian, who plays more of a ground and pound style, but can throw the football and make plays in the passing game when they need it, versus a Bridgewater Raynham team whose passing game is as good as any team in the state, efficient. They can throw the football on a high level. They have good skill. They have young skill that's coming. This team's going to be really good in the next couple of years. This is a fantastic matchup that could come down to the offensive and defensive lines and who's able to set a physical tone early on.
This is going to be fun. I'm happy to be covering this one on Friday night. Mansfield High. I don't think we need to do the rants about these stupid 6 o'clock kickoffs again, but coming from the Cape,
we do need to rant about all the Saturday playoff games, though.
The 6 o'clock is insane. So somebody coming from the Cape to Mansfield on a Friday evening is certainly not great. But this is going to be a fun one. Fian's played really well since that Zavarian loss. They've won 8 in a row. Bridgewater Raynham's also really playing well down the stretch here too. They lost to Barnstable. They won 6 of their last 7 games. This is a terrific, I think, sort of underrated quarterback matchup with Owen Mortis and Lambert. But they also have good running backs as well. Xavier Baker and Andrew Rofanos on Fian, and then Adrian Peebles has really emerged down the stretch here for the Trojans. And Caden Blake's a terrific receiver for BR as well. So I think they're going to be a lot of points scored in this game. We've seen both teams get into shootouts at certain points this year. Fian did that against Fenwick. BR has been in a couple of those games as well. So I expect a lot of points. I think both teams can get into the high 20s, maybe low 30s in this one. It's really going to be back and forth, I think. I lean BR, I think, in a slight upset. I really like the way they're playing right now. Looks like it's going to be clear conditions, and when there are clear conditions, Jack Lambert can really let it rip. I think that's going to be what happens on Friday night. Trojans win by 1 score. Going to be a fun one.
One thing I'm looking at here is whose team is going to make which team adjust first. Is Bridgewater's going to make Bishop Fian adjust to their style, or going to make him try to play the way they want to play, up and down, a high-paced game, or is Bishop Fian going to let the physicality showcase and dominate this game? That's what I'm looking at to see which style is going to be the most impactful in this one. Bridgewater, definitely a great season for them. They've been playing really well all year long. They've answered a lot of the questions that we all had for them during the preseason. Their offense is one of the best. Now they're going against one of the best defenses around. And this time around of the year, I think defense kind of win games and leads you straight to the championship. So it's going to be a close one, but I think Fian is going to pull this one off because I think their defense will get the stops they need down the stretch to pull out the victory.
All right, and we're going to head over to Division III now, where we have another 2 intriguing matchups. And when you look at this bracket, fellas, at the beginning of the season, you might have said, okay, King Philip can be there. I could see Barnstable being there. I could see North Attleboro being there. I don't think too many people had Malden Catholic in their bingo card, but yet here we are. Malden Catholic is, in fact, in the semifinals. They're in the Final Four, and we're going to start there with our Division III preview. King Philip playing Malden Catholic. This game will take place on Saturday, 3 p.m. at Bridgewater Raynham High School. And Tyler, I'm going to start with you. This is an interesting matchup because King Philip's been the best team in D3 all season long. Coming into the playoffs, Malden Catholic was 3-5 during the regular season. All of a sudden, they beat Marshfield. That gets people's attention. Then they beat Hingham last week, 27-13. That gets people's attention. And all of a sudden, people are saying, well, wait a minute. Is this Malden Catholic team a team we should have been paying attention to during the regular season? King Philip is on upset alert here. They're going to need to come to play, and they're going to need to play well, because this Malden Catholic team has proven in these playoffs, it doesn't matter who you put in front of them. They are more than good enough to win a game, especially if you're not on your A game and you don't come to play.
I mean, it's been a great story. They had they announced over the summer they were making some renovations to the facilities there at Malden Catholic. They swapped out the coordinators, and it wasn't always great for them throughout the year. They went, you mentioned they went 3-5, but that 3-5 is a little different than most 3-5s, right? Like, they lost to Nashua South, a semifinalist in New Hampshire. They lost to CM, they lost to Sarianides, they lost to St. John's Prep, they lost to BC High. So it's not your ordinary 5 losses in the regular season. They're more battle tested, I would say, than
5 good teams.
Right.
I mean, BC High's played very well here down the stretch, and they're young. So, to your point, yeah, it's not an ordinary 5-loss season.
No, it's not. And they played the most challenging schedule in Division III this year, and you're kind of seeing that play out here. They're battle tested, they're ready, they're not afraid of anyone after the teams they've played. With that said, though, I think Philip is closer to the caliber of CM, Zavarian, and St. John's Prep than they are to Hingham and Marshfield. I think KP is that good, legitimate top 5 team in the state. So you look at when they played CM, St. John's Prep, and Zavarian, they weren't able to find the end zone more than 2 times in either of those games. That's going to be how this one plays out as well. That KP defense is as good as any in the state. They run the ball, limit your possessions. KP's going to win this one. I don't think it'll always be easy by any stretch, but something like 28-14, I could see it out like that. I still like KP by 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, be careful picking against Malden Catholic, Tyler. They might start tagging you if they do win, like they were tagging me on their post last week after their victory and stuff. But all fun and games. And I think Malden Catholic, they have that mentality like, we really don't have anything to lose. I mean, most people didn't think we'd make it this far. Most people didn't think we should be in. Like, they have a we don't got nothing to lose mentality, and that's kind of dangerous going into the postseason. And you got 2 upsets already. Why not make it 3? But if they could pull this one off, that would definitely get the attention of everyone in this state due to the opponent. This King Philip team, this is like November is the time where they just really showcase their dominance, especially that offensive line really takes over the games, and that running game really showcases itself. So if Malden Catholic can withstand that offensive line and try to get some stops here and there, because they got the playmakers on offense to get some scores, but they're going to have to find a way to get some stops. But it's hard for me to pick against King Philip too, just because of their style of play and their physicality and how they like to dominate the line of scrimmage. So I'm going to King Philip in this one, but I think it'll be a close one, but they pull away late.
All right, and of course, the winner of this game will take on the winner of Milton North Attleboro. Those 2 teams are scheduled to square off on Saturday at 3 p.m. in a matchup that, when you look at it on paper, again, we talk about contrasts in styles. This game has a contrast in style theme to it. You've got North Attleboro that's going to line up ground and pound with Frankie Strachan. They want to control the clock. They want to limit your possessions. They want to wear you down. You look at Milton under Steve Dombowski, one of the best offensive coaches in the state, year in and year out, one of the best passing game coaches that we've seen in the last quarter century. Milton can throw the football as well as any program in the state. You got Patrick Collins, Ronan Salmon. I mean, this is a team that has really good skill that could score points in a hurry. They won a shootout last week over Jack Fabiano and Masco, 41-27. I think this is the kind of game, guys, whichever team can establish their style of play early can win this football game. It's going to be about getting off to a good start and setting that tone stylistically and making your opponent play the way you want them to play in order for you to win. And I think whichever team sets that offensive tone early and forces the other team to play from behind and forces them to press a little bit, I think they're going to position themselves to win this football game.
I think that's absolutely right. I wonder if this is going to be like one of those rare games with a team that wins the coin toss,
Takes the ball.
receives the ball.
Yeah.
I wonder, especially in North's case, I wonder if North takes the ball if they win the coin toss, just to try to put together one of those games, establish, the identity of the game and the pace of the game. This team's more than capable of putting together like an 8 or 9 minute drive and just really demoralizing the defense. Listen, the contrast in styles, they make for the fun matchups, right? Steve Dembowski, arguably the best, or one of the Mount Rushmore of top offensive coaches in the state right now. The passing game's really clicking. They beat a very good Masco team last week. You mentioned Patrick Collins. Ronan Salmon, he's been doing it for 3 years now, just a terrific player. He's one of the best receivers in the state yet again. But I think we sort of called out their physicality a little bit earlier in the season.
They remember that. They've been reminding us.
No, I know. I was going to say they told Mukala all about it. So
poor Mukala is the one that bears the brunt of all this stuff.
But they're playing with that physicality, and I think that Weymouth loss was a bit of a wake up call. And they've really been playing since that game, both offensively and defensively. They're physical on defense, and they're able to hold up at the point of attack, but they're still able to throw the ball around the yard like few teams can do in the state. To me, this is the best game, or one of the best games of the weekend. It's the hardest game for me to pick of the weekend. I really don't know which way to lean here. I think I go North Attleboro. I saw them in person last week. Super impressed. They're sound on defense, so I think they're going to hold up in that passing game. I don't think they're going to give up the 70, 80-yard plays to Salmon and Mason and those guys in the passing game. And then again, I think they're just going to try to limit the amount of times Milton touches the ball. Frankie Strachan, he's going to carry it 35, 40 times. They give you some different looks. They run a little bit of misdirection. Mike Strachan, like we talked about Domowski on the show, but let's not forget about Mike Strachan. He's one of the best coaches in the state as well.
Yep.
So I think
North wins. Well.
I think North wins this one, which that might be good if you're Dembo and the Milton guys, because I picked against them against Natick and Masco. They won both of those games, so we'll see how it goes this weekend. But I've got North.
I don't know if you guys know this, but is all the teams that won last year still in contention to repeat, or are all the champs from last year still in the tournament?
Well, Uxbridge lost Amesbury, so they're out.
Okay.
That's the only one, though. It's only Uxbridge.
Yeah. That's the only one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we had a lot of teams were on the hunt to win another one, and ain't no experience like championship experience. But yeah, Milton, like the last 2 weeks going against Natick and then going against Masco, playing against some good backs. Really, their defense really stepped up and slowing some of those guys down. And this is going to be a challenge for them. But their defense definitely has played well down the stretch of the season. They played well in that first half against they slowed down last week. Why not? If you want to be the champ,
all right. Well, we think Mukala picked Milton. He went full R2D2 there, but we think he picked Milton. Is that a fair statement, Mukala? Can you hear us?
Yeah,
all right, he's back.
Milton.
All right. Excellent. Okay, so Mukala picks Milton. I thought I was going to have to go C3PO there in order to communicate with you. But, all right, so Mukala picks Milton. Amaral picks North Attleboro. Milton people, you can't be pissed at us. I already have people asking me why they're not in the chaos poll. You can't be mad at us. I mean, one of our co-hosts here did pick Milton, so we're more fair and square here, more balanced down the middle. You are watching the High School Preview Show presented by Gold Athletics. I'm your host, John Sarianides. As always, I'm joined by Tyler Amaral and Mukala Kabongo. Do want to remind you that we are brought to you by Gold Athletics. Coaches, you need that fundraiser that's going to make you some money and help your program? Well, visit goldathletics.com. Matt Ross and his team have a variety of fundraisers that they can cater to your program, your school, and your community. Visit goldathletics.com today for more information. And Matt has been a great partner really since the inception of New England Football Journal. He has sponsored this show from the beginning. We can't say enough about Matt and his team. If you haven't had a chance to work with Matt, I can't say it enough. And I'm not saying it because he sponsors the show. I'm saying it because I know Matt and I know how hard he works and his team works and how great a job they do. So again, visit goldathletics.com today for all your fundraising needs and for more information. All right, gents, we're going to roll along here to Division 4, familiar foes in the first matchup. It's another installment of Scituate Duxbury. Scituate beating Duxbury earlier this year. They beat him last year in the Division 4 Super Bowl. There's not much that needs to be said about this one. Scituate has the experience edge. They bring back Johnny Donovan, Grayson Foley. What a monster game last week in the win against Walpole. But look, it's Scituate Duxbury. Duxbury might be on the younger side, but you know Coach Landolfi and that staff, they're going to have those guys ready to play.
Yeah, man. Like, do you remember when Duxbury was 2-3? Feels like, feels like forever ago. And they've rattled off 5 in a row here. They're 7-3. They've rattled off 5 in a row. They're 7-3 now. They're back in the state semifinals. 7th straight season. Remarkable consistency from Duxbury. They're playing what they're starting to really play well on defense. They're obviously a super well coached team. That defense has really come around. And then on the offensive side, Brady Ryan-Smith has really taken off here. He's played terrific in the playoffs so far. He's really finding a second gear here as we get into deeper into November. Burlington was a good team. Burlington was undefeated and they beat this team by 24 points. And Burlington scored late. They were up by 30 points. They were up by 30 points in the fourth quarter of that game. And then on the other hand, Scituate, Grayson Foley missed some time towards the end of the season. All he's done, since coming back in the playoffs to score 9 touchdowns. He scored in all 3 phases, had over 300 all-purpose yards last week. I think Scituate's more experienced, but I also think they're the better team this year. But who knows when these two teams get together? We've seen some shootouts. We've seen upsets. We've seen it all over their playoff battles, since this is what the fourth and 5 years they played in. This is the fourth meeting in 5 years between these two teams. They know each other very well. They always meet on the big stage, and they're doing it again here. I lean Scituate though. I think they're more well-rounded, and Grayson Foley's the best player on the field. Sailors win.
Man, this is definitely going to be a good one for kudos to the fans of both schools for this one. This is going to be a matchup that they all are going to love. I know everybody's going to be out there in full force to support. Should be a fun one. Yeah, I think Scituate might just get them off the experience. Duxbury is young, but they're young and learning. I just think the experience of Scituate is gonna help in this one. I think we'll have a close game, but I think in the end, Grayson Foley, Johnny Donovan, I think those two guys want to get another one, and they're gonna pull off all the plays late in the game to pull this victory.
All right, Mike checks in. If Bishop Fien establishes the run, is a wrap. All right, so Mike believes that if the Shamrocks establish their running game against Bridgewater Raynham, that they will win. Oh, wait, we got Mukala. Mukala's joining us here. We can see the Mukala mobile. We got that.
I'm trying to fix this camera.
All right, so Mukala is now joining us in living color. He is here. He is ready to go. Again, doing a great job tonight out at Worcester Academy for the Winchendon-Worcester Academy basketball game. All right, on the other side of the bracket, we have the 2-seed Tewksbury Redmond taking on the Canton Bulldogs, who have been a great story this season. It's been a season full of adversity for Canton, but this has been a program that's been really good 3 of the last 4 years. They find themselves in a state semifinal. It's going to be a tall order, though. Tewksbury's been one of the best teams in the state. The first game's being played on Friday night at Hingham High School at 7 o'clock. This game is going to be played at Manning Field in Lynn at 6 o'clock. It's supposed to be a neutral site game. I'm not sure how Canton to Lynn is neutral site. I don't make those decisions. They don't pay me the big bucks. But nonetheless, one thing we've learned about the Bulldogs is they're battle-tested playing in the Hockomock League. Of course, MVC, in my opinion, just as good, one of the best leagues in the state. Tewksbury will be battle-tested. But here's my question for you fellas. Can Canton pull off the upset, because if Canton beats Tewksbury with as good as Tewksbury's been this season, it truly would be an upset, Tyler Amaral.
It absolutely would be an upset. I think Tewksbury's close to like CM in terms of being, that much better and the clear-cut favorite in their divisions. They've been an absolute wagon all year long. Haven't played in any close games at all. Or that's not true. They beat Lowell by 6 points earlier in the year, but that's their only close game all year. And Lowell's a Division I playoff team, a team that won a round in Division I. And then they beat other teams like Andover, 27 points or whatever it was, up by 30 points at halftime on Andover. They have just so many weapons on offense. Harrison, Olu, Christopher. They've got all these Johnny Sullivan. A ton of skill on offense, but the defense is equally as impressive. The Redmen are just so well-rounded here. They're going to win this one. Canton is a great story. I saw Canton play against Foxborough. They lost that game by 1 score. It's a good defense. JT Norton, Dylan Crow, these guys, or Nick Crow, they can make plays on offense as well in the backfield. Canton's a very good team. This Tewksbury team, I think, is just operating at another level than any of these other teams in Division IV right now. And I've got the Redmen in this one. But also, you mentioned Canton going to Lynn, not really neutral, but also imagine trying to – I feel bad for the people that have to travel from Canton to Lynn for a 6 o'clock kickoff on a Friday. It's going to be the most miserable.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, no, it makes zero sense. I don't understand why we're operating in this world right now logistically in high school football and in high school sports. Again, you're asking people, parents that want to go see their sons play, their daughters cheer, you're asking them that to get out of work early now. Okay, they're going to have to leave work early, and then they're going to have, depending on where they work, they're going to have to drive to Lynn to watch their child play. And then on top of that, and here's the other part of this we haven't talked about, and I don't want to veer off topic too much, but then the majority of your games are going to be on Saturday. Malden Catholic is playing on Wednesday night again. So, again, here we are talking about player safety and doing what's right for the kids. How is that doing right for the kids? I don't understand it. I know I bitch and moan all the time about everything, it seems, but at the end of the day, I mean, come on, man. Like, this isn't that hard. Play these games Thursday and Friday. Play them at 7 o'clock. There's no need to be playing at 6. There's no need to be playing this many games on Saturday. It just makes zero sense to me. And spare me the nonsense about Thanksgiving. I'm so sick and tired of the anti-Thanksgiving argument. Move on. Leave it alone. It's not going anywhere. It's been around for a while. It's tradition. Live with it. Go ahead, Mukala. I apologize.
No, I agree with you. I don't get like the first 2 rounds. We got jam-packed games on Friday. I mean, everything's on Friday, and then we get to the semifinals. You want to make it Friday and Saturday, and so you could have made it Thursday and Friday, which makes the most sense to everybody. So, yeah, I agree with you on. I agree with you on that. But back to Tewksbury, man. This is one of the more dominant teams I've seen. They are very dominant. Watching the film on them. Like, these guys just all around have a very, very good team, and they don't take their opponents lightly. They, when they know they're head and shoulders above better than the team, they let it be known early, and they don't give a team a chance. Canton's going to put up a good fight, but I just don't see nobody being this Tewksbury team right now. If they lose, it will definitely be an upset, a big, big upset. But the way that team has been playing, it's hard for me to pick against them.
Yeah, they've been a wagon all year. Like you guys mentioned, their only close game was really Lowell, and they've got some big wins on their schedule this season. All right, next up, we're going to go over to Division 5, where you could have a potential rematch from last year's Super Bowl matchup between Shawsheen and Foxborough. Shawsheen playing North Reading, who beat Medfield, a very good Medfield team, an undefeated Medfield team, last week, 21-20. Shawsheen with a win over St. Mary's of Lynn. This game will be played on Friday night at 6:30 at Danvers High School. Shawsheen currently holds the longest winning streak in the state. And Mukala, I'm going to start with you. Is this a team that you could see tripping up this week and not getting to Gillette? Or does Al Constantino have so much talent back that it's not going to matter? This team's really good and North Reading is up against it.
North Reading is up against it. This team is really, really good. They're healthy too. They're healthy. Some guys were hurt during the season or like in the later part of the season, but they're all fully healthy now. This team plays man to man, zero coverage the whole game. They hit, they're physical, they run the ball, they tackle well. This is just a well-rounded team, and St. Mary's, St. Mary's had a lot of confidence going into that game, since after their first meeting by losing by one score, but I mean, they just took whatever confidence they had and they threw it out the window. And all the way, this is another team. To the people in Shawsheen, I do not dislike your team. I picked against them one time, and somebody told me their players are saying I don't like them. They forget all the times I picked them this season, but the one time I picked against them because the home field, the home team, so they think I don't like them. I actually like their team really good, and I'm going to pick them this week too because, man, these guys they're really good. They're really good. It's just hard for me to see somebody beating them. And from what I was told by my Sam Perkins, who works over at Wilmington TV, they've been covering the team the whole season, and he said before the game there was some players from St. Mary's chirping to the Shawsheen Tech players, just chirping before the game during their warm ups or their stretching, and they kind of use that as fuel. And he said the same thing happened last week in Salem. He said the 3 times he's seen teams do that to Shawsheen Tech, they've blown them out the water. So my advice to North Reading is before the game, don't chirp at the players during their stretching or give them extra motivation because it hasn't worked well for 3 teams this season.
Man, Shawsheen's so good. Like they obviously lost Sid Tilsley, but they lost some core pieces from that team last year, and it's just for a Tech school to be doing what they're doing is just insanely impressive, especially in Division 5. I know a lot of the Tech schools are in Division 6, 7, 8. They're up here in Division 5 playing really good teams. Coming off a Super Bowl championship, they played in a state championship a couple of years ago and lost to this North Reading team. They're just very good. Like if Shawsheen wins, linebacker James Tilsley will be playing in his third playing for his third time at Gillette. Terrific defense, and then the Banda brothers back there, Jake Banda, he's really exploded in the postseason. Dylan Pratt's a terrific 2-way player. The Rams are just so tough. They're so tough. And North Reading, what they did last week was super impressive to go on the road to Medfield, be down 20-7 at halftime, and then contain Brady McCormick, Mateo Benson in the second half, outscore them 14-0, and then win on the final play. Just a terrific win for North Reading. But I think the run ends here. This Shawsheen team is just they're good. They're well coached. They're physical. They can run the ball. Rams win this one.
Yeah, for the last 4 years, they had slinging Sid Tilsley, and now they have the Banda brothers. So there you go. They should make T-shirts. Hey, we wanted to make slinging Sid Tilsley T-shirts. They should make like the Banda brothers, and just do a little silhouette thing. Giving the Shawsheen folks more ideas. All right, let's go to the other side of the bracket where I think you talk about interesting games. This will be one of the more interesting games of the weekend. Foxborough takes on Archbishop Williams. Of course, Archie's has been a surprise all season long, led by freshman sensation Hudson Garrity at quarterback, Ethan O'Connell at running back, Zay Wiggum. Really good team that came together this offseason, and they've been impressive throughout the season. Picked up a big 28-21 win last week over Hanover. They take on Hanover, not Hanover. I'm not acting like I'm not from Massachusetts, but over Hanover. They take on a Foxborough team that beat Gloucester last week 28-0, and Foxborough is seeking to return to Gillette Stadium themselves for the 3rd straight year. They beat Hanover 2 years ago, lost to Shawsheen last year. I think the important question here is, as we watch Mukala eat his chips, is can Hudson Garrity and company win this game, or is Foxborough going to be too physical for them? Tyler Amaral, I know you're saying it's chips. What are your thoughts on this one?
Listen, this Archie's is super impressive. Like I think a lot of people talk about that offense, but the defense has been able to get it done the last couple of weeks. Win that low scoring game against Swampscott at home. Again, that they probably shouldn't have won. Like Swampscott, I think Swampscott was the better team that night. Like they had a couple penalties that really killed them. 2 like major penalties that were drive killers. But This Archie's team, they're impressive. Hudson Garrity, of course, but I think the most underrated player on the team and really the X factor on that team is Blake Nelson. Plays D line. He plays at tight end. They split him out sometimes as well. He's a very good player. Listen, I didn't think Archies would win last week. They were up by a couple scores, and then they were able to hold off Hanover with that last second 2-point conversion to win that one 28-26. So it's getting difficult to doubt this Archie's team and pick against them, but I still think Foxborough is the better team here. And I think the key with Foxborough is Ryan Foley was a little banged up here, and they haven't really needed to use him or rely on him too much in the playoffs. They've been able to really use Jack Taft. He has 6 or 7 touchdowns in the playoffs here. We know what the defense is going to be. This defense is going to this is definitely the best defense that Archie's has faced this year. So I think points are going to be at a premium here. We're going to see a low scoring game. I think this is the game. You see Ryan Foley. Warriors win this one and return to Gillette.
Yeah, this is yeah, Archie's, you can't. It's they've given us reason to believe in them. I mean, to talk about their offense, but their defense has come up with the big plays, especially down the stretch of the season. Hudson Garrity is having a great freshman campaign, as you said. Blake Nelson, really solid. But Foxborough still has that sour taste from their mouth last season, and they do want some redemption. And I think they're going to be focused. It's going to be Archbishop Williams is going to put up a good fight. But I just think Foxborough, in the end, they want to get back to Gillette to right last year's wrong. So I'm going to go with Foxborough.
Yeah, and this game will be played on Saturday at noon at Bridgewater Raynham High School. And yes, Archbishop Williams won 28-26. Earlier I said 28-21, so my bad. All right, let's go over to Division 6, where you have 2 intriguing matchups as well. First one features Norwell and Hudson. Hudson looking to make a return to Gillette Stadium in an effort to go back-to-back. Can the Hawks overcome Jack Lucarelli and this Norwell team, Tyler Amaral?
They definitely can. I think Hudson has more returning than people might have realized. Like, I think we've talked about a couple of teams now here that have made the playoffs or make deep playoff runs here in Division 6 that were at Gillette last year. And Hudson's another one of those teams. I don't know what people really expected with the loss of Jake Attaway, but Logan Dome has really stepped in here at quarterback, Trayson Muse at running back, Toby Edie at running back. They're sound defensively as well. They really took it to old Rochester last week. This Hudson team is very good. But listen, Jack Lucarelli is a special player. He's one of the best players in the state, regardless of division. He's 36 yards away from 2,000 on the season. He's a quarterback, but he's gonna carry the ball 20, 25 times or however many times they need him to, and then he'll beat you over the top when you key on the run and pack the box. So he's a really fun player. I think he's gonna be the difference in this one. This year it was a close game. Hudson ended up winning that one. Hudson was a better team last year. Norwell's a better team this year. I expect a similar game, but flip the result. Norwell wins by 7 to 10 points.
So, I don't know who from Hudson it was. I don't know if it was the assistant coach or the head coach, but they sent me a message. They do watch the show, and they sent me a spreadsheet of their offensive philosophy because they heard me talking about how they're spread and they like to spread out. But he would tell me although they do spread, but their philosophy is to run the ball. So they gave me a spreadsheet with the stats and showed me they had over 2,000 yards rushing as a team this season. But yeah, thank you to whoever sent that to me. It was appreciated just to understand that. But Hudson trying to get another one. I think they have what it takes to get it back, to get another one. They have the right philosophy. November, December is when you want to really when you want your run game to really take off. Clock control. Norwell is the 1 seed, but I think Hudson's going to get this one.
Yeah, again, I think it'll be a fantastic matchup. Certainly one of the better games of the weekend. But Mukala, I know that you have a chip on your shoulder, so you want to prove people wrong here. No, you literally have a chip on your shoulder. You were just eating them in anyway. All right, on the other side of the matchup here, on the other side of the bracket, I should say, you have a matchup that I'm not sure a lot of people expected. I think a lot of people thought that Fairhaven, who was the 3 seed, could potentially be here. I think a lot of people were, I don't want to say skeptical of Bishop Fenwick, but it was a wait and see approach with them. Let's see what they do in the playoffs and whether or not they're good enough to win a round or maybe even 2. And then we'll talk about them as a possible contender. Well, that time is now. Bishop Fenwick beats Abington last week, who looked the part all year long, the 2 seed. Now they take on the 3 seed in Fairhaven. We all know what Derek Almeida's team can do in terms of running the football. A lot of people thought that this program might take a couple steps back without Justin Marks. They haven't skipped a beat, just as good as they've always been, which speaks to the commitment from the kids and the type of coaches and the type of coach Almeida is and his staff. Can Fenwick pull off another one this week, another big win, and upset Fairhaven, Tyler Amaral, or is this Fairhaven team on a mission to get back to Gillette?
I think Fairhaven's on a mission to get back and prove that it wasn't all about Justin Marks. But what Fenwick's done has been super impressive. Like, that Abington team was very good. I think they were probably the best team or one of the 2 best teams in Division 6 start to finish this year. And Fenwick went down Abington, a tough place to win. Again, a tough road trip, and they went down there and they beat them. Dylan Padarelli is a great player. Dave Woods is a very good coach. This Fenwick team is 6-4, but their 4 losses are to Marblehead, Gloucester, Archies, and Fian. So they lost to 4 playoff teams. They don't have a bad loss on their resume, and they're really just hitting their stride at the right point. And they have some good senior leadership, and I think preseason Fenwick expected to be here. I'm not sure that was the case, around like Halloween. I don't know if they expected to be here, but they're here, and it's just, when you have only a week to prepare for the triple option, there's just no way to get your scout team to be able to run it the way Fairhaven does. So it's just incredibly difficult to prepare for. And again, we've talked about this all year. Fairhaven lost Justin Marks, but they still have this stable of backs. They can beat you with 4 or 5 guys now rather than just relying on Marks. And we saw that last week. They beat up on Stoneham. Aaron Legou ran for 200 yards but didn't even score a touchdown. They had 3 other guys that scored the touchdowns in that game. So it's just hard to stop this triple option. I think the defense has caught up to the offense. This offense has been humming all year, but the defense is starting to play really well now too. They don't throw the ball much, right? They play this triple option, but that doesn't mean they're a low scoring team. I think a lot of people, when you think of a run first team or double wing team or triple option team, you think these games are going to be low scoring. That's not the case with Fairhaven. This team can put up points. Don't be surprised if they put up 40 in this one. It's a terrific offense. They move very quickly too. They play with a lot of pace out of that triple option. And again, it's just brutal to try to, 1, prepare for, and then 2, in the game play against. Fairhaven's going to win this one. It should be a fun game, but Fairhaven keeps it rolling and gets to Gillette for a 3rd straight year.
Here's another team, Fenwick, that were tagging me after their win over Abington because I picked Abington to win that game, and a couple of players were tagging me.
What is thicker than water, Bishop Fenwick?
Yeah, man, it's all funny. It's all fun. It's all fun. But Fenwick got that kind of feel like they got hot at the right time. Everything's starting to click offensively and defensively. Health-wise, everybody's healthy, and right now they got a lot of momentum. That triple option is going to be tough, but can Fenwick match them with the points? I mean, the triple option, if Fairhaven's going to use up a lot of clock to score, but Fenwick can score without using that much clock. So that's going to be an intriguing matchup. So I'm going to go with Fenwick in this one just because they're really, down the stretch of the season, they've been really hot, playing really well. I think they're going to pull this one off, probably one of those 21, 22, 14 type of scores.
Yeah, and Dave Woods has been around a long time. He's a good coach, and he gets a lot out of his talent, and I think we've certainly seen that here down the stretch with Bishop Fenwick. All right, let's head over to Division 7, where the first matchup we're going to take a look at features Cohasset, who has been very impressive this year. Peter Afonasu's squad has played very well, led by quarterback Michael Wildfire. They take on Northbridge, and what we assume is Coach LaChapelle's farewell tour. Can the Rams send him out a winner? Can they win this game and advance to Gillette Stadium to play in the Division 7 Super Bowl?
Definitely can. I think this is, again, one of the more evenly matched games of the weekend. I think, I think that this is a true toss-up to me. I think this game could absolutely go in either direction. It's a fantastic quarterback matchup, terrific coaching matchup, but it just feels like one of those storylines where Northbridge might come out on top this year. We've seen it like in the NFL, right, with like Ray Lewis and Peyton Manning. We knew it was their last year, and they go out on top. But it sort of feels like that sort of season is building here for Northbridge. They have a lot of pieces back from last year's semifinal team. His Ken LaChapelle's grandson, Joel, at quarterback. Mo Rodney Daigle has really emerged as a running back here as well. They had that one slip up to Auburn. Other than that, unblemished. Cohasset, I had Cohasset winning this game before the tournament started. I had Cohasset getting to Gillette. I think I'm going to reverse course on and pick Northbridge. I really like the way they're playing. They're tough on defense, obviously well coached. Joel LaChapelle's just been terrific. I would expect a lot of points in this game. I think there's a lot of good skill on the field, especially for a Division 7 game. But give me the Rams here in a tight one.
Yeah, the quarterback matchup's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, this Northbridge team, I've had since talking to them in the preseason, I've paid attention to them, and yeah, these guys, they're doing everything they said they were going to do before the preseason. They wanted to get back to this point, and they said they understand now what it takes to win these types of game and what it takes to win at this point in the season. So this team, I'm going to go with Northbridge in this one. I think they're ready for the moment, and this whole season has that feeling of trying to send the coach out the proper way, and I think they're going to punch their ticket to Gillette.
And that game will be played on Saturday at 1:30 at Woburn High School, not Woburn, as they were calling it on ESPN last week when they were featuring the young man at BR who was on the You Got Moss segment. They kept saying again, at Woburn against Woburn High School. Woburn. All right, next up on the other side of the D7 bracket, we have Amesbury and Clinton. This game will be played on Saturday at 1 p.m. at Manning Field in Lynn. You got a Central Mass, Eastern Mass matchup here. Two programs that have had a really good season, specifically Amesbury. They were able to knock off the defending champion, Uxbridge. Tyler Amaral, can this Amesbury team beat Clinton, get to Gillette, and seal the deal? They've had the look of a team that could be a favorite in this division all season long.
They have it, and I think Clinton had the looks of a favorite this time last year. They lost in the state semifinals to Mashpee, but it was a team full of juniors, very heavy junior-laden team, and it didn't start off great. I didn't really do any digging or ask around after they lost by 32 to Northbridge in week 1. But since that point, they've been very good. They lost to Hudson by 1 score. We just talked about Hudson. That's a very good team, so nothing to be ashamed of there. Defense is playing terrific. That's a really good West Bridgewater offense, and they held them to 6 points on the road. That was one of the most impressive things one of my main takeaways from last week, that they were able to go on the road and hold that West Bridgewater team to 6 points. This Clinton team's really good, and they're very experienced as well. So I think this is one of the better games, one of the most evenly matched games of the weekend. I'm going to go with Amesbury, though. That again, we talk about sort of unique offenses. This team that they hit you with the tee and all sorts of misdirection, and you don't even know where the ball is half the time until the guy's 5 yards downfield. Again, this is a brutally difficult offense to prepare for in only 1 week. I think it's going to be low scoring, 21-14, something in that area, but I've got Amesbury in this one to get to Gillette for the second time in 3 years.
Yeah, I really like this Amesbury team. This team, there's another one of those teams we're talking about that just feels like it's their year. They've been dominating teams this season. But this one is going to be a different type of matchup because of Clinton and their experience. As you said, going to West Bridgewater and winning that game, and just defensively how Clinton played, it was outstanding. So Amesbury is going to have a challenge in this one, but I think in the end they're going to pull it out. Probably a one-score game, 28-21 final score. But I just think Amesbury, this feels like it's their year to bring home a chip.
All right, and finally, we're going to wrap up with the two matchups in Division 8 rather. Your first matchup features Neshoba Valley Tech taking on Randolph in what should be a really good matchup between two very well-coached teams. Mukala, I'm going to start with you here. This Neshoba Valley Tech team has been on quite the run here under Danny Kelly. Zach Duchesnes, of course, has been impressive for them. Can this Neshoba Valley Tech team beat a Randolph team that is, when you talk about battle-tested, outside of West Boylston, probably the most battle-tested team in this division and certainly one of the most battle-tested teams in the state?
Yeah, this is gonna be. I mean, this is a rematch of last year's semifinals, same location as well. Last year was Makai White who came up with the big plays in that one. The Neshoba got off to a slow start. They took a lead, but then Makai White again, he just made the plays down the stretch, and I think this is going to be another close game, a really tight one between these two teams. And also, if you like a running game, these two teams will give you a running game because we might see a total of like 3 passes, maybe not. The way both of these teams run their offense. But man, Makai White, man, that young man, he's really put this team on his back, and I just think he's going to continue to do that. This is going to be one of those one-score games. One-score games. I think Randolph is going to pull this one off.
Yeah, I mean, two terrific backs in this matchup as well, Zach Duchesne and Makai White. I think it's going to be more about the supporting cast in this one, though. I think White and Duchesne are both going to get theirs. But when you talk about Randolph, they also have Alan Nariska, who's really emerged as that complimentary back to Makai White this year. He's also an X factor in the kicking game. He's a very good kicker. And then Abe Cornett, multi-year starter, I think 3-year starter at quarterback for Randolph. So they have experience in that backfield. And I think they're a little bit deeper in the backfield. It's going to be a terrific game. We know Neshoba Valley expected to be at this point. They made it to this round last year, added CM and Stoneham to the non-conference schedule. They fully expected to be here. They're here now, hoping to avenge last year's loss to Randolph. I just think Randolph's the more complete team. I think both teams are very good, and it's going to be a fun game. But I think I give the slight edge to Randolph again because of that supporting Makai White.
And finally, on the other side of the bracket, you have Lee taking on West Boylston. West Boylston looking to get back to Gillette, win another Super Bowl. Can Mike Ross's squad win this game and get back and attempt to win their 4th consecutive Super Bowl?
They definitely can. This is another game here, and if for whatever reason you're interested in attending games that are going to be played in 90 minutes, then this is the game for you because it's both of these teams are super run heavy. Lee last week against Cathedral, they went on like an 11-minute, 40-second drive or something like that, something insane in the third quarter. They literally used up all but like 20 seconds. They've got the Reber brothers there in the backfield. This Lee team, Lee's good. Lee's good, and I think they've kind of flown under the radar here. They've been dominant out in Western Mass. They were the number 2 seed for a reason, and it's because they're a really good team. And coming into the year, everyone was talking about West Boylston and the potential of a 4P. They were talking about Randolph, and they were talking about Neshoba Valley, but this team's just continued to put their head down and go about their business and dominate everyone in front of them to this point. I think this game's a true toss-up, and I think it's going to be a lot closer than people might expect here. I would say West Boylston's a slight favorite, and it's so hard to bet against Mike Ross when it gets to this time of year. This is going to be a really fun game. I think what defense is going to make a stop. There's going to be limited possessions, but I think the offense will make the most of their possessions. Who can get that stop? I think that team's going to be West Boylston. They're going to win 28-21, but this should be really fun. And this is a fun league team. And I saw some pictures on Twitter last week before the game. They played on Saturday against Cathedral, and there were like banners hanging around town from like homes and businesses with players' names and let's go Lee. And that's not something you see in every community. So that's the community of Lee rallies around the team, and they're a big football community. Love to see that. They could absolutely win this one, but I think they fall just short.
Yeah, I think West Boylston, they're one of those teams we're looking at trying to get a four in a row, and they have the running back Dominic Rizzoni. They got a lot of returners from last year's team. Lee will definitely put up a good fight. I mean, these guys, that was impressive what they did against Cathedral. I think if they want to pull this one off, they're gonna have to do something similar as far as clock control, the clock management, control the time of possession. But I just think the experience of West Boylston is going to be the difference in this one, and they're going to come out. They're going to pull out the victory.
All right. So West Boylston, if nothing else, will have a shot at getting back to Gillette and potentially winning a fourth straight, which would be impressive. I don't care what division you're in. All right. Rhode Island is going to be crowning 4 state champions this weekend. Of course, it all starts Friday night with a renewal of one of the best rivalries in New England. Seems like it's a yearly event. It's certainly one of the top sporting events in the Ocean State on a year-to-year basis. It'll take place at Cranston Stadium, 7 o'clock kickoff. You've got LaSalle Academy taking on rival Bishop Hendricken. Of course, LaSalle beating Hendricken a few weeks back. Does Bishop Hendricken avenge this loss, or does LaSalle win it in Dan Copen's first year as head coach?
Man, this is gonna be a fun one. This is gonna be a fun one. But Hendricken, I think they've played in some close games down the stretch here. They've pulled out some games that it didn't always look so promising. But Coach Crofts keeps his guys poised and composed, and they never waver, never rattle under pressure. I love what both of these teams do in the regular season. Where they schedule teams from out of state and really challenge themselves. And again, these are two teams that fully expect to be here every year. I think they would both consider any season a disappointment if they weren't the final 2 teams standing. We're here yet again this year. I think Hendricken does avenge the loss. I think it's going to be 24-21, something like that. Going to come down to the wire. Hendricken has just really been able to pull games out here down the stretch, and I think that continues here.
Yeah, Hendricken, they were in control of that game the last meeting. They just had to get a couple stops here and there. They probably walk out that one with the victory. So they might watch film and see where they let things go array in that one. But this might be another overtime game. It might be another one just like the first one. But I think Hendricken will be on the winning side this time.
Yeah, man, they're playing great football. And that win last week against that North Kingstown team was very impressive. Next up, you have the Division I Bowl Championship game featuring Cumberland High School and Central High School out of Providence. This game will be played on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Cumberland is the 7th seed. Central was the 8th seed. This Central team has played a good schedule all year. Mike Washington does a great job with that program. But do they have enough to beat a Cumberland team that came on down the stretch and position themselves to play for a Division I state title?
They have enough. Again, these are two teams like that have played Massachusetts teams the last couple of years. I'm blanking out. Who did Cumberland play from? Reading? Did they play Reading?
They played Reading. They played Reading earlier this year, and Central went toe-to-toe with Milton. That was one of Milton's tougher games this year.
It was, yes. I think I like the way these teams schedule in Rhode Island, these top teams in Rhode Island, how they schedule these teams from Massachusetts. I think I lean Central here. I think this is another toss-up in Rhode Island, but I'll lean Central.
Yeah, I'm with you too, Tyler. I think I'm gonna go with Central on this one, but I think it might gonna come down to a possession here and there, probably a one-score game. I'm gonna lean with Central.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mukala, on that. Central's skill could be the difference here. They can score points. I think that Milton game really got my attention earlier this year with Central. It led me to believe that, hey, if they could play with Milton and hang with one of the better teams in Division III in Massachusetts, they're going to be able to hang with a lot of people in Rhode Island. I think they proved that. I'm going to go with Central here as well. I think it would be a big win for Coach Washington and that program to bring a state title home. All right, in Division II, it's kind of been a fait accompli. Westerly, South Kingstown. South Kingstown looking to go back-to-back here, but Landon Husserl and the Bulldogs stand in their way. Westerly's been impressive all year. Of course, speaking of interstate matchups, if you guys remember week 1, they went toe-to-toe with Scituate. Can Westerly complete what was expected and win a state title, or do the Rebels go back-to-back?
No, Westerly wins this one. They're the best. They're the best team in Division Two. I think I would be. I wish I played against like Hendrick and LaSalle this year just to see how they stacked up against those sort of teams in Rhode Island. Westerly's the clear cut favorite in this division. Outscored their two playoff opponents 95-6 to this point. This game will be closer than that, much closer than that. But Westerly, I think, is the clear favorite entering this game.
Yeah, give me Westerly. I think Westerly's just too head and shoulders better.
Yeah, well, I think that Houston on that passing game could be the difference. But if you're South Kingstown, that running game has been really good for the Rebels all year. They're going to have to ball control here and play keep away. If they can do that, they can win this game and go back-to-back. D3 features Classical versus Mount Hope. Classical's been a wagon all year. They're looking to go back-to-back here. Do the Purple go back-to-back here?
I'm gonna stick with the avenging the regular season loss is the theme of the Rhode Island show here. I got Mount Hope. They lost by 1 point earlier in the year. I like Mount Hope here.
Yeah, I'll go with Mount Hope. I'll go with Mount Hope. You know,
All right.
losing earlier. Yeah.
Yep. And finally, Division 4, Narragansett, Davies. Davies has been one of the best programs in D4 the last few years. Narragansett has been terrific this season. They were the 1 seed in the Division 4 playoffs. Who do you got, Narragansett or Davies?
I think I lean Narragansett in this one. These have been the clear-cut top 2 teams in Division 4 throughout the year. A very deserving finals matchup, but I've got Narragansett.
Yeah, I'm agree with Tyler. I'm going.
All right. Mukala's going with Narragansett. He's contemplating how delicious the chips he had was. So he's going with Narragansett. All right, real quick, let's go up to the Granite State, where they're going to be crowning champions next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. 2 really big matchups in D1. Bedford, Nashua South. That's a heavyweight matchup. Tyler, who do you like in that one? Bedford's been the #1 team in New Hampshire all season long. They have proven it all season long, but this is going to be a stiff test with them. This is a good Nashua South team.
It is. We brought them up earlier in the show. They beat Malden Catholic in week 1. It's a good team, but Bedford, I think, is just operating at another level. It's just they're the best program in New Hampshire, and they're going to get back to the state championship.
Yeah, Bedford once again back to the state championship. I think when you've just been dominant the way they've been throughout the years, I think this is the point they showcase that dominance, and they're going to win this one.
Yeah, and they were buoyed by their defense a couple years ago, but this team can score points. It's not just about their defense. They're going to take on the winner of Salem and Pinkerton. Pinkerton scuffled down the stretch here, but you're talking about a legendary coach in Brian O'Reilly. This is a defending D1 champs. I think they come to play. I think they've got like Mukala, a chip on their shoulder. They've got a lot to prove here. Does Pinkerton get back to the Division I state title game and defend their crown?
I think they get back there. Yeah. Avenging losses was the main theme there at Rhode Island, not so much in New Hampshire. Pinkerton's going to get back to the state championship.
Yeah, I agree with Tyler. The Pinkerton's going to get back to the state championship game. I mean, some of those early season, mishaps are going to kind of overcame that already, and they're playing their best ball. So Pinkerton.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's going to be a fantastic D1 matchup next weekend. Division 2 in New Hampshire crowns a champion this weekend. You've got Sohegan taking on Trinity. This has kind of been the matchup we all expected in Division 2. They've been 1-2 all year. It's really hard to pick against Sohegan. They've been one of the best programs in New England through the years. No exception again this year. Sabres have been fantastic. They're going to be tough to beat here. If there's one team in this bracket that could potentially do it, it's Trinity. But do you see this happening?
I don't think so. I got Sohegan in this one. That offense is impressive. The defense isn't far off, but the offense is very impressive. I think they'll be the state champ.
Yeah, I'll go with Sohegan. I think they'll be the state champs. When you reach this point, when you've been playing well all season, I think you reach this point, you kind of cap it off with the win. So.
All right, finally, to the Class A and Class B state title games in Maine. Class A features Two familiar programs, Thornton Academy taking on Portland. Portland, who was Cordell Jones, is one of the best players in New England, and he has carried this program down the stretch, and he has carried them literally into this championship game against Thornton Academy, where they're going to take on Connor Ayub and the Trojans. They have been the standard in Maine forever. And to the point we were making a couple minutes ago about Bedford beat Thornton Academy. Thornton Academy, outside of that, they have ruled the roost in Maine. And even though Portland won it last year, Thornton will be the favorite going into this one. Can the Bulldogs upset the Trojans and repeat as Class A champions in Maine?
The Trojans are going to win this one. They dominated the first meeting. I think it'll be much closer this time around. Thornton Academy is going to win this one. They're the best team in Maine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Thornton Academy. They've just shown they're the best team all year, so give me Thornton Academy.
Yeah, they're tough to beat. They're so well coached, and they're so talented. Whether it be Mauricio Sunderland, I mentioned Ayub, they can beat you throwing the ball, they can beat you running the ball. But I'm telling you, people right now, if you haven't seen Cordell Jones play the Maine commit, you got to see this dude play. He is special. I mean, he makes an impact in all three phases of the game. A fun player to watch. And finally, the Class B matchup features Westbrook and Coney. Coney's had a really good year. They've been solid all year long. They were the favorites going into these playoffs. They're going to be tough to beat in Class B.
Oh, yeah. The defense has been terrific. They can score as well, but the defense has really been suffocating. I think Coney's, start to finish, best team in Class B.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Coney in this one.
All right, Mukala's going with Coney, and Mukala wants to go home. So he wanted to put a bow on this show. All right, gentlemen, final thoughts here before we wrap it up.
Some great games, some great matchups in these semifinals. Go out and get there. Also, congratulations to all the teams that won those bowl games last weekend. Congratulations to Milton Academy and that group, Coach Mason's group, winning that one. I was there for that one. Really, really successful season for those guys. So, congratulations to everyone that won a bowl game, especially Milton Academy.
Yeah, the bowl games were fun. I was at the Tabor BB&N game, and that was a good one. I think much closer than it was the week prior. Coach Willie had a terrific offensive game plan to put together these long drives, but Peter Bork was just the difference in that one, as he often is. But yeah, go out there and enjoy some football. I think take advantage of the double headers. So, selfishly speaking, I sort of like the Saturday games because you can see two games in one day. I'll be at the doubleheader in Bridgewater on Saturday, so that'll be fun. Get the opportunity to see three good football or playoff football games here, and 16 teams are going to punch their ticket to Gillette, and we're winding down here, which is crazy. We only have a few more shows left, but make the most of it. I definitely recommend, if you have no dog in the fight, definitely recommend checking out one of these doubleheaders. It's always good football this weekend.
Yeah, and I want to congratulate the bowl winners as well. To Mukala's point, Avon Old Farms, first time they've been undefeated since the early 90s. Congratulations to John Hooley and his crew. Cheshire Academy coming up here and beating a very good Dexter Southfield team. Congratulations to Cheshire Academy. And as you mentioned, Mukala, Milton Academy, of course. Berkshire with a big win over Noble. So it was another successful knapsack season. And I want to also pass along some congratulations to the Vermont State champions that were crowned last weekend. Middlebury beating St. Johnsbury in a great game, 13-7. Colchester beating Fairhaven, who had upset Hartford the week before for the Division II state title. And Bellows Falls beating the 1-seed Woodstock 54-20 in the Division III state title game. So congratulations to all the state title champions in Vermont. Another great season of football action up there. And we're going to have state champions crowned this weekend in Maine. We're going to have state champions crowned in New Hampshire. The D1 state title game in New Hampshire will be next weekend. And we will have state champions crowned in Rhode Island this weekend as well. Let's not forget about our friends in Connecticut. They're winding down their regular season here in the next week. And then their playoffs, rightfully so, start after Thanksgiving. Of course, I have to say that because it's just what I do. I love the way I love the way they do things down there, and I think it's a model that I think is applicable to a lot of other places, but I digress. In any event, that'll do it for this week's episode of the High School Preview Show. For Tyler Amaral, Mukala, I love chips, Kabongo. I'm John Sarianides. We will be back with you next week to preview some Thanksgiving games and recap the week that was. Until then, be happy, be safe, and get out there and watch some football.